Well, it's Tuesday Wrestling, and you all know what that means. Once again, we get to review NWA Powerrr. As you know, we continue on with more of the NWA Women's Television Tournament. We will crown a new one. I think that will take place in Chicago on 312. And we got a match for the NWA World Television title. Tom Latimer will defend it against Rhett Titus. And of course, we got about 5 matches involving an AEW Dark, which is a bit short, but they were pretty good matches nonetheless. And as you know, we continue on with NXT. As you know, they're on the road to stand and deliver, but certain things have come across. One of them was, of course, the whole thing with Roxanne Perez after she collapsed. Some interesting developments take place that will be uh they'll be involved in that transition that we get to stand and deliver. But first things first, we're going to review Stardom's much recent events that dates back all the way to the 10th of March back in Korakuen Hall. That features two type of matches that we definitely will be come across. One is the match between Himeka and Natsupoi, which is part of the Himeka retirement road. Will Natsupoi survive Himeka after her last encounter with them when she betrayed DDM? And of course, we have the Goddesses of Stardom tag team titles. The members of Neo Stardom Army, Yu and Nana Takahashi, defends them against a team they have faced in the semifinals of the Goddesses Tag League, BMI 2000. So that's going to be an interesting. And also, we got a little bit of short news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J. Rod here. So, let's begin with Stardom. This one took place on the 10th of March in Korakuen Hall. Now, as you know, we got several good matches taking place, but the first one we're going to do, it's a number one contendership match for the future of Stardom, which is a belt currently being held by Ami Sourei. The opponents are Rina versus Miyu Amasaki versus Hina. Now, each of these women have challenged this belt before, but the one person who felt is more deserving of this belt is none other than Rina. Rina, who has a issue towards Ami Sourei, who she likes to consider her as an old hag, but she has to go through her own twin sister Hina, and of course Hina's teammate Miyu Amasaki. But I think many fans believe that Rina should be the one pursuing for this belt, which she did when she applied a jackknife on her own sister to become a number one contender. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a three-way tag team match. We have the members of Rebel X Enemy, consisting of Maika Ozaki and Ram Kaicho, taking on Oedo Tai's Fukigen Dev and Saki Kashima versus star members Momokogo and Koguma. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. Now, keep in mind, Koguma, who's known as the Bear, always plays little tricks on everyone to get along with the bear dance, but that didn't work. But however, in this kind of match, you probably would have assumed uh, that somehow Ozaki, the Rebel X Enemy, would somehow find a way to win this one. But no, it was, of course, the O'Connor roll by Fukigen Dev onto Momokogo to pick up the win. So they walked out as the winners. Now our next match is the Future of Stardom belt, between Lady C and Ami Sourei. Now this should be Ami Sourei's what, third defense? I'm not sure, but nonetheless, Lady C made the decision to challenge for this belt, which she did. I thought this match was pretty good. I mean, I know that Lady C has improved a lot, um, but however, she came up short when she ended up on the wrong side of like a bomb by Ami Sourei to retain the title. But however, in post match, you may not see it on the on on this. Rena made a paid a little visit to Ami Sourei. Now, if you guys know this, I mentioned this that she calls Ami Sourei women like Ami Sourei old hags, women who are older than her, who believes that this belt is meant for the younger generation, not people who are like in their 30s. Something that Rena has strongly been fighting for, saying that this belt means future, that means generation. So I think that's a pretty good story to tell about with Rena. Now, our next match, we have the members of over time more consistently Black Desire with Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe taking on God's Eye, Mirai, and Suri. Now, keep in mind, I know that Starlight Kid has her little rivalry with Mirai in the past because of her clap that she normally does all the time in her theme entrance. But did it work this time? It did not. Apparently, it was Mirai who picked up the win by applying a pinfall onto Starlight Kid. So I thought it was a pretty good match. Now, our next match is a very interesting one. We have a bit of like, okay, we have Mariah May along with Mina Shirakawa and Tam Nakano. So basically, you have Mina, who's both Club Venus and Cosmic Angel at the same time. So the entrance was a little different. Like, you don't see the the Angels dance that we normally see with Mina, but she hasn't done the dance for almost what, since October, I think. But yeah, but their opponent is none other than Queen's Quest, Utami Aishida, Azumi, and Sayakami Tani. But much of this match it revolves on the story between both Mina and Sayakami Tani. If you guys remember clearly, back in November, Mina was in a match against Kamitani for the white belt, but Kamitani, after defeating who was it? Azuki, she nominated her to be her next opponent. And now this match will take place on the 23rd of April at the All Star Queensdom in Yokohama. But this was going back and forth. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw. But in the post match comments, it appears that maybe things are going okay between both Tam and Mina. I know people talk about Mina's been frustrated because of Tam's giving much of the attention to Natsupoi, but it appears that they made a promise with each other over something. As you know, Tam will be challenging Julia the um, for the red belt against Julia, while Mina challenges. So many people would presume that both these ladies will walk out. Now, to be honest with you, I feel Mina will walk away with the white belt, but I don't think Tam will walk away with the red belt because I feel like many fans will say it makes no sense that Julia will drop the title. I'm sure people would like to see her carry that belt all the way to December like we have seen on many occasions. But that's the way I see it. Now our next match, this is between Natsupoi and Himeka, if you guys remember clearly. Many fans have asked for this match for a long time, dating back all the way to July 9th. Now, if you guys don't remember that day, or those who are new to the channel have no clue what I'm talking about, let me explain. On July 9th, the Cosmic Angels have ended up in a rivalry with DDM. It was, of course, Julia, Himeka, Maika, uh, Masakurai, and Natsupoi versus the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Tam, Mina, Unagi, Saki, and Hikaru Shimizu. But however, at midpoint of the match, Natsupoi betrayed Julia by super kicking her in the face and allowing Tam to win. In an elimination match, this led to a bit of a story where Natsupoi felt that DDM were treating her like a pet. But Himeka said that she never treated her like a pet, but I'm sure deep down she's angry for what she has done, for betraying DDM in this fashion. But however, during a press conference before this match, there was no silence between them. It looked more like much of the emotions ran high. Now Himeka and Natsupoi knew each other long before they ever arrived to Stardom, so this is much of an emotional match. But nevertheless, Himeka really wanted to destroy Natsupoi in every fashion possible. But one thing that was surprising is the fact that Natsupoi, on the other hand, applied this brand new move she demonstrated at the Triangle Derby semifinals on Sudi, and it was more like she jumped, doing like a getting the leg onto the neck, onto the opponent, like grab them here and then try to leverage them down so they can end up in an armbar type of maneuver, and that allowed for Natsupoi to pick up the win against Himeka. Now but in the post-match comments, she decided to call this move the Fairy Princess. I think it's a pretty good move. I think it was a good name, not a problem. But in the post-match, something that was not shown. Apparently, Himeka had reminded Natsupoi of something from their past that led back in um, somewhere in November of what was it? Of 2017, I think, or 2018, where Himeka teamed up with Miyuki Takase to take on Natsupoi and Akakura Sekiguchi. Now, we know that Himeka has spoken about Sekiguchi in the past, but now it appears that Himeka would like to make this match into reality again, like revisit that particular match. Even Natsupoi says she never forgotten. So I thought it was very interesting. So we'll just wait and see. Now our main event is the Goddesses of Stardom, between BMI 2000 members of Odatai, consistent of Ruka and Natsuko Tora, versus Neo Stardom Armin's members, Nanane Takahashi and Yu. Now keep in mind, these two teams have come across each other before, back in the semifinals of the um, of the Goddesses Tag League last year. Of course, Ruka, who has deeply issues towards um, Takahashi, who calls her an old hack, who shouldn't be here in this type of, trying to make it look like this is their generational time. But Neil Stardom Army is the strongest so far. They've shown a lot of passion to what they did, not to mention using many weapons as possible to pick up the win. But however, it did not stop. But Ruka seems like she got a really good, strong fan base in this. She did a freezer bomb onto Yu. The reason she took Yu out that way is because Yu is the much bigger threat due to the back. Yu said, "You should have done that in Nanane, not me." But Yu is the much bigger threat because she's big. But it did not work until it was the diving body splash by Yu to Ruka to pick up the win. Now in the post match we see a little promo with Nanane and Yu asking who will be their next challengers, and surprise, surprise, is none other than Mirai and Amisuru. Now keep in mind, these two ladies have challenged the Goddesses of Stardom 3 times already. The first 2 times with FWC, which consisted of Himeka, Azuki, and Koguma, but they failed both of them. Was a draw and of course a straight up loss. And then they tried again with against Meltier, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. Again, they failed. So now it's like that. I know that Amisuri and Mirai lost to both of them in the Goddess Tag League, but what better way to be the next challenger? So hopefully I see the other ones that took place, but we'll just wait and see till then. But right now, let's move on with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr. It opened up with a very interesting closed interview with Joe Galli. He interviews Chris Adonis, the masterpiece, where he, as you know, he won the Champion Series. He cashed it in and he became the number one contender for the 10 pounds of gold. Well, he'll be challenging Tyrus. Now, we all know the main weapon that Adonis has is the Master Lock, but Tyrus has that distinct feeling that he doesn't believe that, of course, that Adonis will get the whole thing locked in. So he knows, look at me, I'm a big man. And, he does have some valid points. But Adonis, as you know, he is not afraid of any challenges that could be put in. So can't wait to see that. That will take place in NWA 312 in Chicago. So we're looking forward to that. Now, as you know, we continue on with the semifinals of the NWA World Women's Television Title Tournament. We have Kenzie Page versus Ashley DeBronze. Now, Kenzie Page, as you know, had no interest in regaining the NWA Women's World Tag Team titles, but however, she seems like she has other plans in mind. But she has to get through Ashley DeBronze. These are two women who were stopping nothing to get to the top to win this title. But however, Kenzie somehow was able to defeat Ashley DeBron without the help of the pretty empowered. So it was impressive until she applied a cutter onto Ashley DeBronze in order to proceed into the next round. Now we do get a little interesting interview with May Valentine where she talks to Trevor Murdoch. Now last time Murdoch was in a match against a guy named Beast Mode, he was whipping his ass and he was agreeing. But however, he doesn't know what's the purpose of Daisy Kill, who showed up, interfere in this match. But at this moment, because of this attack, Trevor Murdoch will be out of action for quite some time due to the injury. But he said he will have a long chat with Daisy Kill. So, Daisy Kill, we'll see what happens to you, pal. Now, Mike Knox goes into a very interesting match against a guy named Stacy Alexander. Now, Mike Knox, as you know, he finally broke away with the whole thing with Matt Cardona. If you guys remember clearly, Cardona made it clear that they were going to run the entire NWA, but looks like it hasn't. But it seems Mike Knox is doing better, but he was able to pick up a good win when he applied a somewhat version of the Sister Abigail onto Alexander and won in that fashion. Now, our next match, we have former U.S. Tag Team Champion Bobby Fulton. As you know, he's been embarrassed by what the Fixers been causing. Now, if you guys remember clearly, the Fixers has been nothing but a bunch of dorks who are saying that they are the true NWA United States champions because they never lost the belts. They stole the old belts, not accepting the new belts are the real legitimate. What they claim, these are the real ones. But Bobby Fulton knows that when you lose, that means you lost. But he issued an open challenge against one of the Fixers. So I don't know if that's wise, but we'll see what happens then. Now, May Valentine does get another interview with Rolando Freeman. Now, Rolando, as you know, we saw him. He came out to challenge Tyrus, but he is now saying that he felt manipulated by May Valentine's ex-fiance, Aaron Stevens. So he is not happy with it. So it appears that Rolando has his issues towards Aaron Stevens in manipulating him to challenge for the 10 pounds of gold. But he did state that he will get not only revenge for himself, but revenge for what Aaron Stevens did to May Valentine. Now, our next match is the NWA World Television title in a 6 minute and 5 second match. Is, of course, Red Titus versus Tom Latimer. Latimer, as you know, his current goal is as television champion. He has to win 7 matches in a row if he's going to proceed for the 10 pounds of gold. And that's exactly what he did. I thought this match was pretty well done, but it took an STF by Tom Latimer in order to put away Red Tide. Well, it was a pretty good one. Now, another interview was made by May Valentine talking to Thrillbilly Cyrus and Poyo Damar. It appears that Thrillbilly did not get his chance to get the national title. Apparently, he got something stuck in his way, which is Brady Pierce. So, as you know, he's been gunning for that title for some time. But we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match is a non-title match between Mecha Wolf and Kerry Morton. Kerry Morton's dad's not there. Neither is Bestia 66 for Mecha Wolf. He had to go it alone. But at some point, I did not expect that Bestia was going to show up and give him a helping hand. It did not work. But however, it took like a knee and a move to two moves by Kerry Morton to put away Mecha Wolf in order for him to ensure that Mecha Wolf does not get a title shot for the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. So That's how it ended for NWA. I believe it's time to move on with AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark now. They only had 5 matches, but this was a very interesting one. This is the debut of their new setup stage in the Universal Studios in Hollywood, no, in Orlando, my bad, at the Soundstage Studio. I thought it was pretty sweet. Now let's get to the matches. First team we have, the first match is the Outrunners, consistent of Trude Floyd and Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd. They take on Dark Order, Alex Reynolds, and Johnny Hungy, John Silver. I thought this match was pretty interesting because there was a lot of muscle flex between both um, Turbo Floyd and Johnny Hungy. I thought it was very interesting that these two were going back and forth. Now, as you know, we have seen how Alex Reynolds and Silver been a much steady tag team over time, but not big enough to win the big matches. But in this case, they were able to apply a good win by applying a DDT foot stomp onto Floyd, giving them the win. Now, our next match, we have women's action. We have Diamante versus Rio. Now, much of this match, Diamante was decimating Rio, as you know. Diamante, who's been one of the toughest women in the division. I have to say it was pretty interesting to see what is happening, but nonetheless, how do I put this? You know, Rio, who is very resilient for someone her size, as you know, people have always said, Rio is maybe the smallest person, but she always finds ways to overcome all the obstacles that come in, and that's exactly what she did. So she was able to put away Diamante when she applied a double foot stomp, and that was pretty much it when it ended. Next up, we got Sunny Kiss along with members of the Trustbusters, more consistently with what's his name, with Slim J and Jeeves K. He takes on Sunny takes on Terry Kidd. But of course, the X factor in this is, of course, the Trustbusters would make sure that Sunny Kiss picked up the win when they interfered without the ref noticing it. But it took the rake in the eyes and a corkscrew kick onto Terry Kidd for Sunny Kiss in order to pick up the win. Next up, we got Julia Hart versus Zoe Leon. You can guess this match ended with of course, a heartless submission, and that was pretty much it. Now our main event is Lee Johnson along with Cole Carter. As you all know, the factory is no more, but Lee Johnson takes on Action Andretti. I have to say it was one of the most toughest challenges that Andretti has ever been in, facing someone like Lee Johnson, who was trained by QT, uh, and of course a protege to Arn Anderson. I thought it was a pretty good match, but it took only a hanging net breaker by Action Andretti to put away um, Lee Johnson to give him a good win. So, nonetheless, it was 5 matches, but it was a pretty good one. So, right now, let's just end it right here and move on to our next review and our final one, which is NXT. Okay, our final review is NXT. It opened up with a very strong promo by Johnny Gargano. Now, as you know, 15 months ago, Gargano was on his way out from NXT, but his little moment was ruined when that obnoxious Aussie, Grayson Waller, ruined it for him. Now, as we know, Gargano, where he's been the entire time, he came back, but he said that he's been watching NXT, how things were going. He does not like how Grayson Waller is disgracing the brand itself. He felt that he desecrated NXT and all this and that. Now, you know, in certain capacity, Waller would not take this kindly. He thought he got rid of Gargano once and for all, but he hasn't. But however, Waller decided to take things a little too far when he decided to invade Johnny Gargano's home. Now, the commentator, one of Johnny's closest friend, Vic, showed him that he's been online, and of course, Gargano went up to go to his house. He was not going to take this kindly. Now I'm going to skip ahead more on this with what Johnny Gargano was going through. As you know, anybody would go through their assault. It showed the story how Waller, who does not like the fact that Gargano's back to his territory, feeling that, this is my house, you invaded it. But now he feels that he wants Gargano to feel how he felt. So, but however, when Gargano arrived to his home, he was ambushed by Waller, but Waller got the upper hand. But one way or the other, Gargano's not going to let this punk get away with everything that he's done. Sooner or later, Gargano may have to shut him up once or all because this is unfinished business between the two of them. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit on this one as well. As you know, Wesley put himself in a bad position where he issued open challenges to anybody who would definitely want an opportunity of the NXT North American title. So earlier in the day, or 8 hours earlier, Axiom shows up, who is trying to find a way to, how do I say, kiss ass and be in that match. But however, at some point when Wesley was on his way, he once again the superstars in the back fighting to find out who's going to go, and then things went out of hand with, of course, with the sudden feud between both McDonough and Dragunov showing up. But at some point, Michaels was trying to fix this, knowing that Wesley put himself in a bad position. So Lee offered to put himself in a match with 10 people, but Shawn Michaels said, no, how about this? I'll meet you halfway. We'll put this into a 5-way at Stand and Deliver. But instead, you pick the opponents. So that's going to be interesting for him. I'm sure everyone wants to have a shot of the North American title. Now, we go into the NXT tag team titles between the Gallows Boys, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey, versus Pretty Deadly, Kit Wilson and Elton Prince. Now, keep in mind, this is deja vu for the Gallows Bros. If you guys remember their history, it was, of course, a Pretty Deadly who walked out as the NXT UK tag team champions by defeating Gallows. But the Pretty Deadly reminded them time and time again that history can repeat itself. But the obvious thing is, could the Gallows Boys not let this happen? Well, it almost worked in the favor of the Pretty Deadly when I forgot who was it, but used the belt on Mark Coffey. It did not work until they finally put him away. It was, of course, Wolfgang who pinned, I think it was Kit Wilson, and that was it. It was just like that. So they overcome that fear that took place, who knows when. But yeah. Now, as you know, Fallon Henley is trying to prove something that maybe Kiana James is playing games with Brooks Jensen, and of course, Josh Briggs is there to help her out. But I thought it was too funny because Kiana James was dressed in black. Josh Briggs was like a plant, but she found something interesting. It turns out that she had a contract for the NXT women's title, which she was unaware. And she found a letter from a guy named Sebastian. So the obvious question is, who is Sebastian? But we'll get to that in a bit. As you know, what happened last week with Roxanne, she collapsed in the middle of the ring. Now, I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but they're saying that Roxanne had dehydrated herself from this match, and that's what it is. Shawn Michaels made the decision to, since we're 3 weeks away from Stand and Deliver, to crown a brand new champion. Now, I don't know if this would work, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys would feel, because I mean, I feel like they're cutting this whole thing with Roxanne Perez. We can't tell if this for real or not. That's the thing that they're not telling us. But I don't know. We'll just wait and see what happens then. Now, our next match is a qualifying for the women's title. That will take place in Stand and Deliver. We have Soruka versus Zoe Starks. These two ladies have come across each other on many occasions. I thought this match was pretty good because you got the ability, athleticism, and agility from Soruka, but you got the kick-ass fighting spirit of Zoe Starks, who is determined to prove once reason why she needs to be in this match and she needs to win the title. So I think that says it all. But it took, I don't know if it's a GTS that she did onto Soruka, but it gave her the punching ticket to be involved in that match for the crowning of a brand new NXT Women's Champion. Now, our next match is, of course, a number one contender for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. Alba Fire and Ala Dawn taking on Candice, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance taking on Tatum Paxley and Ivy Now. Now, at some point of this match, I had no clue what was going to happen because Tatum Paxley turned on Ivy Now, so it was very surprising. But it was, of course, Dawn and Fire were able to isolate Katana Chance and Kaden Carter to pick up the win when um what's her name when Alba Fire applied a swanton onto Kaden Carter and pick up the win by pinning her. However, after the match, of course, later on it showed um now that Fire and Dawn is the number one contender, Fallon and Briggs show up. Apparently they were Fallon was unaware, but we'll see what happens then. I thought it was just too funny. Now, the D'Angelo family, more consistently with Stacks and Tony D, wanted to have a little chat with Braun Breaker. I don't know exactly what they expected for him, but it appears that Tony D'Angelo had something else in mind. How about some tag team gold? I thought that's a great idea. Let's make it happen. Now, as you know, Ilya Dragunov has unfinished business with JD McDonough, so he wants to end this rivalry between them. Now, JD McDonough says that Dragunov, somehow followed him all the way to the States, but it's more like a. If you guys remember, if you ever watched the movie Batman Dark Knight, where Joker said this, that we were meant to do this forever. I feel like it's that same story, that both Dragunov and McDonough are meant to fight each other forever. So it kind of feels that way, but later it turned into a brawl between them. Um, as you know, we saw early, things have been shaking up with Chase U with certain things. Now, Bate is helping Dale to overcome her obstacle, but Chase had some words of Andre Chase had some words of wisdom with Duke, you know, and it seems like it was getting through until Alba Fire shows up. I mean, Ava Rain shows up, like trying to say Chase U is a fraud, but we'll see how that plays out as well. Our hold on. Oh yeah, we had a surprise interview with Dragon Lee. Now, Dragon Lee, as you know, we've been expecting him for quite some time. He said that he is going to enjoy it because he was pretty much surprised how things were turning for the North American title thing. So he says, "This is what I like." I wouldn't be surprised if he challenges for that belt. Trust me. Now, we do get an interview with Jay-Z Jane. Jay-Z Jane considers herself as the victim of what transpired to her. She's injured and all that. She's calling Gigi Dolan the villain in this mess. So that kind of sets it all. But we're gonna wait for that. Apollo Crews versus Daba Kato. I thought this match was impressive because we were seeing the strength of Apollo Crews if he can pull it off, but no, Daba Kato defeated Apollo Crews with a sitting down powerbomb. I don't know if this feud between them is over or it's going to continue, but we'll see. The next qualifying match in the women's title, we have Kiana James versus Gigi Dolan. Pretty good match, but it took Gigi Dolan a very interesting matchup. So right now she's at the top of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up winning, but it would be interesting to see. Now, our show ended with the contract signing with Mello and Braun Breaker. However, pretty deadly who are trying to find their WrestleMania moment. They decided to become hosts. But what I did like is how Carmelo Hayes saying, I want you, Braun, to be that guy who can go through anything. And of course, Braun Breaker thought the same thing. Now they thought they were going to outbeat each other. Pretty deadly thought of that, but nope, they got themselves put through a table. So I thought it was interesting. So I thought it was a pretty good show. I think it was real fun. So I think that's pretty much it with NXT. So let's do some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have for now. GCW has announced for some upcoming two events. The first one is from the Eye for an Eye that takes place on the 17th. There's going to be a four-way tag team match. We have Bussy versus Main Event versus Wasted Youth and versus Second Gear Crew. I think this is going to be one hell of a match. Now our next event is coming from GCW versus DDT on the 31st of March. We have the Second Gear Crew taking on Chris Brooks, Shona Katsumata, and Miyuki Takase. I think this is going to be one hell of a match. WrestleCon has announced for a match for their Super Show taking place at the end of March. We have Josh Alexander taking on Michael Oku. That's going to be one hell of a match. Now, as we speak, New Japan Pro Wrestling is doing their show for the second rounds of the New Japan Cup. Unfortunately for all you Will Ospreay fans, you may have heard that Will Ospreay has been withdrawn from this tournament due to the fact that he injured his shoulder. At this time there is no news yet. Hopefully I'll throw that in time until later, but we'll see what happens. Now our final, you may have heard the interesting news. A chapter has been closed for the Bella Twins, Nikki and Brie. They have departed from WWE not to renew their contract, and now they go by their real names, the Garcia Twins. I'm sure that some of you don't know what's going on. I know recently the Bella Twins are upset with WWE not inviting them on the Raw anniversary show, but nothing yet has been said. But all we can do is wish them the best of luck. Recently, there was people talking on Twitter that AEW are dumb enough to not sign them. I mean, I wouldn't pass if that's the case, because keep in mind, Bryan Danielson is currently in AEW. I mean, I don't know what they could offer to AEW. I'm sure many fans will not take that too kindly, especially the WWE loyalists. But we'll just wait and see what they're going to do. So I think we'll just end right here and just call it a day. All right. Hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have more on the New Japan Cup for the second round matches. But we also got GLEAT and AEW Dynamite. I'm looking forward to that. If there's any other reviews I'll be doing. We still got more from the Stardom stuff. The review of hopefully I get a chance to see them. But at the moment, after this episode, stand by for the next Unagi Sayaka Watch, where we will be discussing her recent matches that took place. So yeah, so we'll get to that. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day.